The CMA have decided to delay their decision on the Xbox Activision Blizzard deal, and a brand new Xbox controller has been announced. So yesterday we looked at the pre-trial of the FTC suing Microsoft for the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, and there wasn't that much information that came out of that deal other than some decision dates that decisions are going to have to be made in order for seeing if the deal is going to pass or not, or if they're going to take this to federal court. And one of the big things that people are saying the decision from the FTC is going to rely on is the decisions from the CMA and the EU. Now, the EU are going to be making their decisions by March 23rd, and the CMA was supposed to be making their decision by March 1st. So we potentially would have had everything wrapped up from those two regulatory bodies by the end of March, and it would have really had a greater effect on what the FTC was going to do. And this may have led to Microsoft and FTC sitting down, negotiating, and then the FTC deciding to pass this deal rather than continue and then bring this to federal court, where Microsoft will be able to present their case. And a lot of people think they have a very strong case for winning when it comes to the stuff that we've seen so far from the letters from Sony and from Microsoft, and the reasoning why this deal should be blocked, mainly coming from the Sony camp with Call of Duty and all that type of stuff. And then Microsoft coming back and saying, we're putting Call of Duty everywhere. We're even offering 10-year deals to multiple different platforms. So I don't even know how that is something that is still an argument. But we've gone through all that multiple times. But the CMA has now come out and they have actually delayed their decision, which means it's going to be even longer before I think anything is really going to be going forward with the FTC. So we have this article here from Windows Central. It says here, Activision Blizzard Xbox deals latest. UK regulator delays decision. Microsoft may close without FTC. So it says the FTC has revealed that Microsoft is ready to close the deal without the FTC's tacit approval, potentially setting the stage for a federal court showdown. Microsoft attorney Beth Wilkinson said that if the UK CMA regulatory body and the EU approve the deal, it will move closer to merger. Currently worth $69 billion. Microsoft has also said that it will present any potential concessionary remedies it reaches with the EU and the CMA to the FTC as an option to avoid a court showdown, while signaling that it is ready and willing to do so. And I think this was the big thing a lot of people were looking at when it came to the EU and the CMA and their decisions coming in March. If those two regulatory bodies pass this deal, but Xbox had to make some concessions, they go back to the FTC and say, hey, this is what we've done for the EU and the CMA to make sure that this deal goes through. We want to do the same thing here. Are you willing to negotiate? And the FTC probably would have been more willing than they are currently right now if these other two massive regulatory bodies had approved the deal. But now the CMA has announced that they're going to be delaying the final decision until April 26, meaning that it will be even longer before we see whether there's anything that Xbox and Microsoft can present to the FTC in terms of concessions and in terms of evidence that these other bodies are willing to approve the deal. So let's sit down and negotiate. Now, the reason the CMA is deciding to do this is because they say here, in taking this decision, the inquiry group had regard to the scope and complexity of the investigation and the need to consider a large volume of evidence as well as main party and third party submissions, the necessity to allow sufficient time to take full and proper account of comments that will be received in response to the inquiries group's provisional findings in due course, and to reach a fully reasoned final decision in the statutory timeframe. The inquiry group considers that there are special reasons why the report cannot be prepared and published within the original reference period. Who knows exactly what that means, how much more information is coming in, what they need to look at and prepare for before making this final decision, and just how deep do these third-party responses go that potentially could be persuading what they decide to do. And this decision from the CMA coming on April 26th will delay things just a little bit, but let's say they still do approve it, and then let's say the EU still approves it as well at the end of March, Microsoft will still be able to present this to the FTC and then hopefully sit down and negotiate and come up to some sort of deal with the same concessions in order to push through the Xbox Activision Blizzard deal. But obviously this is all speculation. We don't know what is going to happen. Maybe it gets blocked at the CMA, maybe it gets blocked at the EU, and maybe overall the deal gets blocked at the end of the day. But just longer people are going to have to wait before a decision is made. And I said this in my video yesterday. It doesn't really matter right now. I mean, 2023 is looking so good from the Xbox side of things, from the Game Pass games that we know are coming that they have said are coming before the end of June, which is just the first half of 2023. We still have no idea what is coming in the second half of 2023. And let's say this deal gets approved and it's sometime in the summer, maybe these big Activision Blizzard games are going to fill up a lot of the second half for Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. All right, next up, let's talk about a brand new controller that was announced at CES, and this is coming from Asus. It's an ROG controller, Republic of Gamers, and it's pretty cool looking because it has a feature that we haven't seen yet on an Xbox controller, and that is an OLED screen right on the front of it. So here it is. This is a controller, like I said, coming from Asus, but it is one of those third-party controllers that are designed for Xbox. It has that seal of approval on it, and it is called the ROG Recari Pro. There's also just an ROG Recari, which is the same controller as this, but with a lot of the main features that make this one cool missing, such as the actual OLED display on it. But this display here is 128 by 40. It has custom animations, images, text, and it also allows you to see your battery life, your Bluetooth connectivity, your microphone status, and profile indicators. There are also buttons on the back, which is standard on any of these Pro controllers that are programmable. You can change, obviously, the buttons that they correspond to. Now, of course, it'll be USB-C, but also have the wireless Bluetooth. But the difference between the Pro controller and the regular controller is the regular one is only wired. And let's take a look at it here on their actual website just to get a better look of what this controller is all about. You can see the OLED screen showing up there. And I mean, honestly, I don't know how big of a feature this is going to be that people really want to get this screen on the front where they can see a bunch of indicators of the things that they're doing, like their microphone and the Bluetooth connectivity and all that type of stuff. But overall, I think the controller does look pretty cool, at least this Pro one. It has a circular D-pad here that is more reminiscent of the actual Elite Series 2 swappable D-pad, where you throw in that circular D-pad instead of just the regular cross D-pad. You can see here the back buttons. They are different, obviously, than the Elite Series because you can't take them off, and they're definitely different shape. But that will be very interesting to see how this actually fits in your hand and how easy it is to hit those buttons, because there are a lot of controllers out there that have back buttons, but they just don't feel good and they aren't as functionable as the ones that come with the Elite Series controllers. There's also the selectable hair triggers, which is always a huge thing, especially when playing the first-person shooter, so that's good to see that. And you can get access to this entire interface, but this is only on PC. One of the biggest questions right now people are having with this controller is, although it is a design for Xbox controller, they're kind of branding it as designed for Xbox PC. And one of the questions is, are all of these features going to be available for Xbox users? It says here, for Xbox users, it's not clear if all the features will be supported when using the controller on console. Additionally, it's mentioned how Xbox only supports the controller's wired USB-C connection. So that's something that hopefully Asus clears up, and hopefully this isn't something that you can't use wirelessly on your Xbox, or there would be really no point in choosing this Pro controller for playing on your Series X or S over a different Pro controller. But overall, what's interesting about this is that OLED display. And why I say this is interesting, not only does it look pretty cool, but this is also something that Microsoft has been looking at. And they have this pattern here with this controller with an LCD display. And that display is going to be used primarily from this pattern, it says, to show you where you're connected, which console you're connected on, are you connected to PC or whatever. One of the best features, I would say, with the Xbox Series controllers that not a lot of people know about is that the Bluetooth button on the top, you can double tap it and switch between connectivity of your PC, your phone, or your console, and then you double tap it again and switch back to the previous device that you were on. And they're probably looking at something like this where it will help you identify which device you're actually using the Bluetooth with, because if you don't know when you have your controller on, you just kind of have to test it out and see where it is functioning, where your character is moving, and what screen is a PC or is it Xbox. But it looks like the LCD or OLED display or whatever type of thing on a controller is something more companies are looking at, as Xbox has patented it, and we also have the ROG Recari controller. That's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the CMA delaying their decision. What do you think about this new Pro controller? And is this something you'd want to see Xbox have on a first-party controller? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.